Thank you very much. Good afternoon. I'm Dan Thomas. I'm the Communications Director and the spokesman for the President of the United Nations General Assembly. Thank you for attending this media stakeout following today's informal hearing of the General Assembly. Please allow me to introduce Irina Bokova, the Director General of the United Nations Educational, Scientific and Cultural Organization, UNESCO. Ms. Bokova has been nominated by her country, Bulgaria, as a candidate for the position of the next Secretary General of the United Nations. Ma'am, the floor is yours.
I don't know what to say. You have to guide me. Let me just say that I was within these dialogues that the President of the General Assembly organized. I personally think it's a very good way of opening the process of the selection of the next Secretary General. It gives a lot of opportunity for us candidates to share some of the ideas, because it's a vast array of questions. If you have followed, initially I thought 2 hours is long, and now I see it's not long. In fact, we just touched, I would say, on the iceberg, the tip of the iceberg of so many issues. But still, it was a good exchange. What I could share with I would not repeat what I have said, but what I think gives me the audacity to be a candidate, of course very honored by the decision of my government. It is because I do believe that United Nations, as I said, are indispensable. I'm a huge believer in multilateralism, in diplomacy, in dialogue, in solving problems, in prevention, in social inclusion, in respecting dignity of every single woman and man on the planet. And on the other side, I think the United Nations are also indispensable when it comes to challenges. I'm talking about the climate change. I'm talking about all the topic of living together, of the rise of violent extremism, of intolerance, and having this experience already 7 years with my organization. And before that, working for the transition of my country, Bulgaria, after the fall of the Berlin Wall, of joining the European Union and becoming a democratic European state, gave me, as I said once again, the strength to think I know what transition is, I know how to respect certain values, how to be guided by these values, and I think that I could contribute with my knowledge and with my commitment to the future of the United Nations.
Let's take some questions. If you could give us your name and your media organization.
Yes, it's Pamela Falk from CBS News, Madam Executive Director. You answered a lot of questions, but one question that did not come up was about terrorism in Europe, and if the UN could play a role in some kind of unified fingerprinting or sharing of intelligence, which has been called for but hasn't been put into effect. Do you think the UN could play a role in this?
Well, I think that the UN is playing and could play a bigger role. The counter-terrorist strategy of the Secretary General that he launched in January is a very important starting point of all this. I think, of course, uniting, creating platforms for all the actors to work closer, being in the area of intelligence and otherwise. I can say that we work for the financing of extremism on the illicit trafficking of antiquities. This is the way we work. We create this platform working with the intelligence, also with the judges and others. But what I think is very important, and I insist on that once again, this is the preventive role. This is to go where it all starts. When President Obama convened last September here the summit on preventing violent extremism, and he invited me also to speak during the summit, I do remember vividly the appeals and the ideas of many world leaders who were saying that we should not be, once it happened, we should not be in the end. We have to go before. We have to go on the benches of schools, to the communities, with the families, to work with the leaders, religious, traditional leaders, in order to prevent this. I think this is an extremely important role where United Nations has experience in different circumstances, working with the countries, not only Europeans. I would say that we have seen terrorist attacks in Istanbul, in Ouagadougou, in Bamako, in Brussels, in Paris, in Jakarta before that. I think it's a global challenge, and we have to look at it also from this perspective.
Thank you very much. Ahmed Fati, American Television News. Madam Director, what's your experience during the past 7 years in UNESCO prepares you for the position of the Secretary General, especially with the outscope of the operations that the UN as a whole organizations take?
Well, I think many aspects of my work these 7 years are related. Let me just mention that in the 17 goals of the Sustainable Development Agenda, 9 are related to our work at UNESCO. I have been participating in a very active, proactive manner even, in the formulation, engaging with member states to achieve and to adopt Agenda 2030. On the other side, I think UNESCO, with its better position, understanding, history of issues like culture and heritage and tolerance and dialogue among cultures, working with youth, is very well positioned also to participate in this UN global effort in order to counter violent extremism or terrorism with its preventive action. We have contributed to the Secretary General's strategy, and we are actively engaged in this work. I would say, on the other side, we at UNESCO have the human rights promotion and respect as a cross-cutting approach of working for freedom of expression or for gender, promoting girls' education, social inclusion. All these are so fundamental, in my view, for the achievement of Agenda 2030, or to tackle some of the situations with the humanitarian crisis. I'm talking, of course, about refugees. We are preparing for the World Humanitarian Summit, and we will be launching a platform on education in emergencies. We know, we have been advocating for a very long time, that in protracted crisis, you cannot just speak about humanitarian approach. You have to put the dots together between the humanitarian and the developmental. And I have been a very strong promoter of this idea. And now I think we are coming towards finding the right ways to marry together, to match together to the humanitarian and the developmental aspect. So I can speak a lot more, but I think and on the other side, and with this I will end my response to your question, I think the fact that UNESCO was in a financial crisis for the known reasons, we lost in 2011 22% of our budget, and we still are in this mode, gave me the opportunity to implement very difficult reforms in the organization without losing the leadership and the main, I would say, trust of the organization. This gave me the opportunity to work very closely with staff, with the staff associations who were very fully on board during this process. And the last 2 years being chair of the high-level committee on management with the chief executive board has enlarged my understanding of what are those reforms that are being implemented now in the organization and what has to be done in the future so that we are fit for purpose, do more with less, and indeed serve the people, something that is, I think, our main responsibility.
Oui. Merci Madame Bokova, Bouchra Ben Youssef, Moroccan Press, Quid.ma. Alors je voudrais déjà vous poser la question pour savoir comment s'est passé votre grand oral. Et deuxièmement, on aurait bien aimé voir à côté du jury qui est composé des États membres et de la société civile, des représentants des médias. Et vous savez que les médias se plaignent souvent de voir leur accès à l'information, parfois ici même, réduit en peau de chagrin. En tant que secrétaire général, comment verrez-vous la place des médias ici même? Je vous remercie.
Franchement, je crois que ce sont des questions que vous devez poser à la présidence de l'Assemblée générale. Je crois que ce n'est pas le secrétaire général qui a organisé ces débats, ces rencontres. Mais de toute façon, je dirais que sans médias, sans communication, il n'y a rien au monde aujourd'hui. Et je crois que les Nations Unies, comme j'ai répondu aussi à cette question, quel type de communication j'envisage, je crois que c'est extrêmement important si nous avons un message, il faut le communiquer. Si nous avons quelque chose à dire, des idées, il faut avoir aussi des partenaires de passer ces messages et de toute façon, je crois que sans les médias, c'est très difficile de le dire. Moi, peut-être je suis très attachée à cette question parce que l'UNESCO a le mandat de promouvoir la liberté d'expression et de travailler avec les journalistes. Et nous sommes très liés avec les organisations des journalistes, travaillons avec ça. Le reste, sur les modalités, malheureusement, je ne suis pas en mesure de répondre très concrètement à cette question. Merci beaucoup.